Years. Kentucky lawmakers passed a bill that requires every school campus to have a school resource officer. The deadline to meet that requirement is August 1st. Some school systems say not enough law officers are interested in that position. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to one superintendent struggling to find officers.
Mercer County began applying for a school resource officer to patrol these campuses in Harrodsburg more than a year ago. With a month to go before that deadline approaches, they still have not found one person interested in that school resource officer position. Mercer County schools do not currently have a designated SRO that patrols the 4 schools on the campuses in Harrodsburg. It's been that way for months, and Superintendent Jason Boer says they are desperately seeking someone. They do have access to both the Mercer County Sheriff's Department and the Harrodsburg Police, who routinely patrol the campuses and are just a few minutes away if something were to happen. Boer says the job of SRO is not appealing to many young officers.
When these young police officers in their 20s and 30s, they want to be on the front lines on the streets and have a lot of action. And they view, like I said, they view being in the schools as a boring or, not as much action as they would get on the street.
It's not just the school resource officers. I'm also told there's a lack of interest in teaching positions, and police departments are also struggling to find enough candidates to be police officers. In Mercer County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Harrodsburg's assistant chief says they do have several officers who would be good SRO candidates, but with so few on the local force, they are needed for general patrols within the city. Governor Beshear has announced $8 million in funding for early childhood education. The funding will provide developmental screeners for parents of children from birth to 3 years old. The purpose of the screeners is to see if children are developmental milestones. Dr. Scott Lockard, Public Health Director, says parents play a major role in early childhood development.
And one of the biggest things we need to develop is parental empathy, so that we have an appreciation and a feeling of what that child is experiencing. If we go outside and we're cold, then if we have empathy, we know our child's going to be cold, and so we should dress them appropriately.
Dr. Lockard says it's important to respond to your child's communication and emotional cues, and that it's a myth that you can spoil a toddler. 3 church groups from out of state are reaching out this week, partnering with a Martin County organization that does just that. Appalachia Reach Out is working on projects all around Martin County this summer, kicking off a new plan this week to freshen up the Kingfisher Trail in Inez. Of the more than 70 volunteers in the city this week, one group has been working to replace the old stairs on the trail, add some new gravel, and clean things up for those who enjoy it every day.
Our mission is really just to bring these teams in, let them see how we engage community. It's not that they're coming in to little poor old Martin County and just helping us, because we're in this work 365 days a year, but they come in and help support the work that we're doing.
With the 3 groups in town, ARO has now seen 15 outside groups join their work this year. Mills says he's excited to see how the outreach continues through the year. We'll have more about this week's group coming up at 6.
Yeah, we've had some clouds around today, but it's been a rather pleasant afternoon around the region. As afternoon slowly turns into evening on this Tuesday, you see outside right now from our front door, WYMT, blue skies, just a few fair weather clouds this afternoon. Some of those high clouds have been with us, but they haven't hurt those temperatures much at all. I-75 at London, skies a little lighter thanks to a few more of those clouds working in. But again, temperatures have not been hurt at all. Upper 70s, low 80s region-wide. We should be about 84 this time of year, so we're actually just barely getting there. Middlesboro sitting at 84 right now. It's a clean sweep on pinpoint Doppler. Those green returns you see across portions of central Kentucky out towards Lexington and back towards Elizabethtown. That's not rain. It's just some of the high clouds being picked up on the radar, and those will continue to diminish as they enter a rather dry atmosphere throughout the night. So we're actually looking in pretty good shape as we run through the remainder of this evening. Keep that WYMT weather app handy because, well, we've got some pretty nice temperatures on the way as we head through the remainder of tonight. A few clouds working in, but for the most part, A-OK. Middle 60s as we head to bed tonight, waking up near 60 on our Wednesday morning. Now I'll have the latest on when heat returns and when we could see the return of some showers and storms to the forecast. That's coming up in just a few. Steve?
Evan, thanks. Summers around the world are getting hotter, a lot hotter, and scientists say climate change is to blame. A new global study reveals heat waves are increasing in severity and frequency, and it's not just extreme heat. Climate change is also triggering disastrous downpours.
All heat waves across the world have been made more intense and more likely by climate change.
G7 leaders meeting in Germany this week have agreed to create a climate club by the end of the year for nations looking to take more ambitious action to tackle global warming. The number of dead has risen to 50 after a truck full of migrants was abandoned in the sweltering Texas heat on Monday. CBS's Omar Villafranca has the latest from San Antonio.
The tragedy in South Texas continued to grow in scope on Tuesday. Federal officials tell CBS News they believe it's the deadliest human smuggling case in modern U.S. history. The grim discovery happened Monday on the side of the road in southwest San Antonio. A worker heard cries for help coming from a parked tractor trailer. Authorities say 46 migrants were dead on the scene. Others died later.
We're not supposed to open up a truck and see stacks of bodies in there.
More than a dozen survivors were hospitalized, including several children.
The patients that we saw were hot to the touch. They were suffering from heat stroke, heat exhaustion, no signs of water in the vehicle. It was a refrigerated tractor trailer, but there was no visible working AC unit on that rig.
Temperatures in the area on Monday ranged from the upper 90s to the low 100s.
If it's 100 outside, it goes for about 125 degrees inside without water, without air, without nothing. It's ridiculous.
The truck was found near Interstate 35, a highway that runs from the Texas-Mexico border to Minnesota and is often used by smugglers.
This is nothing short of a horrific human tragedy.
Investigators say 3 suspects were taken into custody at another location. They are still looking for the driver of the truck and anyone else who might have been involved. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, San Antonio, Texas.
The Department of Justice is preparing to take a closer look at last month's fatal shooting rampage in Uvalde, Texas. A DOJ spokesperson says the critical incident review team will start its first on-site visit to Robb Elementary School this week. Officials will conduct interviews, investigate documents, and collect other relevant information. They say the goal is to create a full understanding of what led to the incident that resulted in the deaths of 19 students and 2 teachers as police officers waited outside the building for more than an hour. First Lady Jill Biden will not be setting foot in Moscow for the time being. She is among the 25 U.S. citizens who have been placed on the Russian Foreign Ministry's stop list, which is a ban from entering the country for an indefinite amount of time. Among the others included on the list, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. This action is an attempt by the Kremlin to retaliate against the expanded sanctions they face from the White House and European nations. Coming up on First at 4, more and more travelers now want to unplug from digital obligations and reconnect with the real world. How Americans are going off the grid.
And temperatures are getting warm again as we head towards the weekend. It's the holiday weekend. I'll have the details on that coming up next.